notes in this chair if you move over it. I have to move the books off of it. Yeah, carefully place them up here. Okay. Let it commence. All right.
Just a big welcome, particularly to anybody who's new, whether you've joined us before really, or whether it's the first time. It's always good to have you here. So I'm Jo Watson, and AD4E exists to challenge the culture of diagnosis and disorder and to open up more human, compassionate and contextual ways of understanding emotional distress. So we are interested in moving away from the idea that distress is something wrong inside individuals and instead asking wider questions about people's experiences, relationships, environments, histories, and all the realities that they're living through. So a tiny bit of housekeeping before I introduce Matt. So if you run into any Zoom or tech issues during the session, please feel free to send me a direct message in the chat. I'll do whatever I can to help sort things out. But we also have Alex here this afternoon. This morning, this evening. It's everything, isn't it? We've got people from all over the world, let's face it, to help behind the scenes to keep things running smoothly. So thank you for that support, Alex. As usual, CPD certificates and slides will be sent out afterwards via Eventbrite, and that will come through a WeTransfer download link. And also just to remind everyone that the workshop is being recorded, and the closed YouTube link will be sent out afterwards, also through Eventbrite. Also, just a reminder that if the conversations around questioning and challenging the culture of diagnosis and disorder resonate with you, please always remember to subscribe to the AD4E website at disorderforeveryone.com, because it's the easiest way to stay connected with what is coming up next. So I'm delighted to introduce Matt this morning and this evening, where he is over in beautiful Adelaide. So Matt's bio is very short and humble. It goes like this. Matt Ball is a nurse practitioner and psychotherapist. He's the founder of the Humane Clinic and the Just Listening community, along with friends and colleagues Rory and Bernie. At the Humane Clinic, he has delivered a unique project in South Australia, building on the work of the beautiful humans before us. So many of you will know that Matt has contributed to AD4E events several times over the years, including a pre-COVID in-person event with Cornwall in 2019, and of course our online annual festival. It's always wonderful to be connected with Matt's wisdom and passion. So thank you so much for joining us, Matt. Over to you.
She should see this too.
I know. Thanks for having me. I will just share my slides. While I'm doing my slides, I just want to say hello to Jane. I haven't seen her for ages, and it's so lovely to see you. Jane and I know each other from early 2000s. I guess some rules or something, maybe. You're welcome to ask questions in the chat and interrupt us, and we'll try and keep a bit of an eye on it. But I might stop a couple of times and see if there's questions or anything anyone wants to comment, contribute, and we'll see how we go for time. I have got quite a lot of slides because there's quite a lot of content, but also I just wanted to put a pack of slides together, so I think they'll be sent out afterwards in a PDF format. I just want to acknowledge that I'm coming from the land of the Kaurna people, which is the Adelaide Plains region. For those that don't know, the Kaurna people are the traditional owners here, and pay our respects to the elders, past, present and emerging, and all Indigenous people from around the world who are represented here today. Certainly some of this work is influenced by Indigenous knowledge that I've been fortunate to come into contact with on the wonders around Australia and New Zealand. So I'm going to talk a bit about suicide narratives, I think. Oh, sorry. Yes. I was going to play your thing, but I won't. So I'm just going to talk about suicide narratives. Obviously, it's a subject that's challenging to some, not challenging to others. But to just really sort of start from the start, I'm talking about suicide as something that exists in our society that we can't get rid of. And I'm talking about suicide as being a community issue that touches us all. I know that's lots of the language that happens in the rhetoric of the suicide prevention movement. But really, I suppose this is where it dovetails with AD4E. We're really looking at not placing suicide in the minds and brains of individuals that are broken and harmed and damaged, and rather saying that the main document is called Suicide Narratives, Healing Through Knowing, and we're looking at the wisdom of the person who's trying to share a story with us. And of course, some people don't make it through and pass, and others do get through it. But really, when I talk about the wisdom of suicidal people, what I'm talking about and what I'll unpack today is that we're saying that there's important messages about what it's like to live and die from people who are suicidal, rather than just trying to stop people talk about it. So the origins of this model started in 2016, 17, something like that, when I just was fed up with people telling people they were feeling like ending their life or thinking about it. And really the project was to convince people not to talk about that, so you can go home from hospital, or you can not be taken to hospital. And that just seemed like a really silly model to me. And then the secondary part of that was that I presume that the place where the most support and love and compassion can be given is in community, not in mental health systems. So I just don't think mental health systems are a very good fit for suicide. And in fact, we've kind of conflated the two things as if they exist together. But some of people here, I guess, will be on board that probably mental health in and of itself is quite a bizarre concept, given that it comes from the ideas of mental illness and mental hygiene, and sort of bringing people back to norms in society. And that might, of course, be some of the difficulties people experience around suicide. So suicide narratives arose because I kind of thought we need something different, and I'd been working with the Hearing Voices approach, particularly the Maastricht interview and developing construct talking with voices, Hearing Voices groups. And I thought, oh, well, why don't we just convert the Hearing Voices approach into suicide narratives? And I'm aware there's other people that have played with this. I'm aware of Alternatives to Suicide, I think it is, which has some similar influences. I didn't know about that when I started this. But we started by adapting the Hearing Voices interview to suicide, and went from there. And I'll talk a bit about that later. But the origins of this approach were to think about connection and understanding of a person's narrative, rather than worrying about trying to change anything in them, but just trying to be in relationship and hear the stories that people wanted to tell. That might include the language of suicide, but might also move way beyond that. We wanted to think about what healing might be like in the whole community if we could move away from the kind of emergency responses that mental health systems did, and thought about how, okay, we've got some problems in our communities, we've got some problems in our societies, so probably that's what people are telling us about. We wanted to challenge the institutional imperatives that create disconnection. So some people here will work in mental health systems, and I'm not critical of you as individuals. I've chosen not to work inside mental health systems anymore, and I'm trying to get as far away from them as I can now. I think if you speak up in mental health systems as a professional, in my experience, it can feel an awful lot like being incarcerated in systems as a patient. So I have the pleasure of both of those experiences, and I would say that they're quite similar when you challenge the institutions in the ways they respond. So we wanted to challenge those institutional imperatives. We wanted to think of an ethical and theoretical justification with being with people in states of suicide, rather than doing things to them, trying to convince them of things, trying to change things. And then, probably most important to me, we wanted to create an approach that anyone in the community could use. So whilst people might go to professionals, that's great, but perhaps it's just as important that you can talk to the person on the bus stop, or you can tell your friend, or you can talk to your family, or you can, and perhaps if we dare to envision that they might provide more of a service than mental health professionals. I don't think that means there isn't a role for mental health professionals. I think there is, but I think there's the role for the humans who are mental health professionals, not the titles and labels of the professionals that seem to kind of get in the way somehow. And this was inspired by a young woman and her mum who I was doing a Hearing Voices interview with her some time ago in the system, and she didn't want to talk to me. So her mum said, "Oh, could you teach me how to use the Hearing Voices interview, and then I can do it with my daughter?" So we just spent some time teaching her how to do it, and she facilitated the Hearing Voices interview. And I thought, oh, good, look at that. The public are just as good at talking to people about being human as anybody else. And so that was kind of the inspiration behind that, really. I'm not going to read all this stuff off the slides, but these slides have got this content for you. But a big part of the philosophy of suicide narratives was about saying suicide is not in mental illness, but rather in the social and emotional wounds, adverse environments, and trauma related to trauma, racism, cultural unsafety, spiritual crisis, poverty, isolation, negative operation of power, or any oppressive process. And also that we think about how to support people beyond crisis. So most mental health settings and those sort of environments, in my experience, are looking at dealing with the crisis. They're not looking at saying, oh, you've been suicidal for 5 years. Just because you're no longer in a system, that doesn't mean all that stuff's disappeared and gone away. You might not be saying that you want to end your life today, but probably those dilemmas still exist in your world and your spirit and your energy. And how do we think about supporting people through that, rather than asking them to go away? Someone's not on mute. On mute. So, as I said, there is a lot of slides. What I want to do is get straight onto risk assessment, because I want to get this out the way, and then I'll tell you about the model. I see there's a lot of people in Australia online, but there's I think the risk assessment thing goes across the world. And one of the things we discovered when we opened the Just Listening community, which I can answer questions on later, if people want to know about it, and at the Humane Clinic, was that whether we do paper risk assessments or any other form of risk assessments are an obsession around suicide. And then I was working online one day when we've been thinking about it, and then I was doing some teaching online to Professor Mossy in London, who'd been on the group that had set up the NICE guidelines in the UK. If you're not from England, the NICE guidelines, the National Institute for Clinical Excellence guidelines, they're kind of best practice guidelines in the UK, and they bring together lots of experts and develop guidelines on different conditions and experiences that we can respond to. And one of the things that came up when I was talking about risk assessments, that he said, oh, I wrote this document. And I went on there, and one of the things I noticed was that the NICE guidelines, the standard documents in the UK, have this page in it. So it says risk assessment scales and tools. Do not use risk assessments, tools and scales to predict future suicide or repetition of self-harm. Do not use risk assessment tools and scales to determine who should and should not be offered treatment or who should be judged. Do not use global risk stratification into low, medium and high risk to predict future suicide or repetition of self-harm. And do not use global risk stratification into low, medium, or high to determine who should be offered treatment or who should be discharged. So this is quite important if you work in a system somewhere, because it's quite clearly telling you from the government of the UK, don't do risk assessment to make decisions about what you're going to do next in the life and the journey of someone who is actually telling us something deeply important about the world and the world they live in. What it goes on to tell you, and I'll touch on this later, is do a psychosocial assessment. So hear people's stories, spend time in relationship with people. That seems to be the best outcome that we can find in suicide. And interestingly, the NHS the guidance at the moment is broadly similar both for professionals and the public, which is get into relationship with people and give them time to talk freely and stay with that. So it was interesting. I then looked up the guidelines in Australia, and we don't have such similar guidelines, but the federal government on their latest primary care documents did write something before they changed it to something a bit more palatable. And they said that predictive risk assessment is erroneous, inaccurate, and not fit for purpose. So now we've got the British government and the Australian government basically saying, don't do this. And yet it's the mainstay of services. I'm not going to go into this in any particular detail, but what we did is in the NICE guidelines, it says have risk narratives instead. So we just developed a risk narrative document, which is essentially a short form document that takes people through what's suicide like for you, how does it relate in your own relationship and environments? What does it get in the way of? What power does it have in your life over you and over your choices and freedom to be in the world? And there's a few more questions, and it finishes off with what do you need now in this moment, or what would you like now, and what would you like to happen when you leave here? And this was based on the fact that we opened a Just Listening community, which is a psychotherapy informed community that basically says we won't use the Mental Health Act to restrict anyone's arriving or leaving. People have freedom to come and go. They can share what they want. They can come anonymously, come as many times as they want, and be there as long as we're open, anytime they want. And so we learned that actually you don't need to do risk assessments, and people are very, very skillful at managing their experience if you give them autonomy to do so. Again, I'm not going to run through it. I've put these slides in there because they're really important. Risk assessment tools cannot accurately predict risk of self-harm or suicide. The committee agreed that the potential harms of risk stratification. The committee also talked a lot about how quickly perception of risk changes, people's decision-making changes. So just to put it in context, if someone tells you that they're considering ending their life and they leave the building, then something's already changed. The relationship has already changed. So you couldn't possibly know what happens in the next moment. So I've kind of started using the language of clairvoyance. And I think it's kind of fun, and it's also quite serious, but we can't really deliver clairvoyance as a health intervention. So you might like to guess what's going to happen in the next moment, but it's very difficult to think that you're probably going to get that right. So I think we need to be mindful of that. These are just some slides. Like I said, I'm just putting them in. This is where the National Institute for Health and Care Excellence talks about psychosocial assessment and a risk formulation, which was why we went and developed the tools we did. As a little side to that, I would say to any of you, if you don't have the tools and you're unhappy with the system, make them up. And I don't mean make them up as in just make up random stuff. Think about it, plan it, come up with what you know works in your communities, and then develop tools around it, and then practice them, and then you can say, and then you can publish them. And that probably sounds a bit simple, but the only way systems will change is if people just do different things. And we need community and collaboration together in order to do that. So we've made these tools up, and now we use them regularly. Thanks to Lucy and the Power Threat Meaning Framework community, some of our stuff's published on the frame of the PTMF, which adds credibility to it. So there's ways to get stuff out there so you can do things differently.
Pause it for a minute. I gotta go help her.
Matthew Large, who's a professor of psychiatry, everything's in Australia, he does a lot of work around risk prediction, and he says, despite the wider adoption of suicide risk assessment, there are no published randomised trials demonstrating that risk assessment can guide any suicide-reducing interventions to the point of reducing the overall prevalence of suicide. So these are big statements.
I have to
and
get,
if you ever need evidence
because
to
I've
support
moved this
yourself,
to the other
these are
screen, I have
quite
to
good
do
ones.
it this way.
What he said then, when he looks at this stuff and says you can't predict it, this is a really important thing. He says we need to acknowledge our powerlessness to usefully classify individuals or groups of patients according to future risk. We need to acknowledge this to ourselves and communicate this to health departments, to the courts, and most importantly to our patients and our families.
No, you already did it. Press space
So
bar now.
we do this
Which
work
one?
just this
Oh,
week.
now. Okay.
No, you.
All right. Okay.
You got it. Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Let me go see what.
See what they're messing around with.
Well, he's in there. She's looking for a wallet. I'm sure.
Oh, she's looking for a wallet. Okay.
I don't have it.
It shouldn't take that long to find if it really is here, but I doubt that it's here.
We were all looking for
But they were in so many different places, they could have left it on a beach somewhere.
Right, she went down and checked the beach.
Oh, it could have been a beach in Wellfleet.
Well, yeah, no, did you look in your car? Yeah.
Yeah, I did look in my car thoroughly, and it was definitely not in my car, and my car is not here right now anyway.
see it. Dad, this is her hat, right?
Which hat? Was that
I
in
think
my
she
car
wore it,
earlier?
No,
Or did
no,
she wear it in
she
now?
was wearing it yesterday.
Oh yes, because there was a hat in my car earlier that looked similar to that, or maybe that was the one that was in the back seat. But you know, Cyril might have taken it out of there when he left recently.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure where it is. No, it might be in the cellar. Creeping around in here somewhere. Where are you, mother?
I have that condition in my nails where it folds.
Oh,
Yeah.
I have
Are
something
they-
similar to that.
Do you really?
There's a little one right there.
Oh, got you. Yeah, so you see my
Yeah.
that one there. And I always
I never
fidget.
thought it was.
I thought it
I
was
know.
due from fidgeting.
Well, I never thought it was a sign of anything wrong. You know, that's
No,
just a
no.
variation, and
No, it's
I don't
not.
know,
And
people are built. You know,
and it really is. That's all it is. But as I grew older, I noticed it
yeah.
started to, and I thought, well, because I always was a little, not like anxious, but like my anxiety a little bit. I don't know if that's from childhood or whatnot, but I remember it.
Well, that's the whole point of this neurology business is that nobody
Really
no
knows.
matter how many years they spend trying to figure out the connection between what goes on and how you feel about things, or what's going on in your brain, and how that shows up in physical changes in different parts of your body. Nobody really understands those relationships completely.
So it's funny how like everyone talks about psychology and how they're trying to get down to, but at the same time, like we try to get advice from psychologists.
How do we know of anything they say has any relevance or value to it?
Well, everyone's still trying to figure it out.
Alec was commenting earlier. He made that comment earlier today after he spent all day yesterday with Dr. Page, and now he says Elizabeth doesn't want him to use Dr. Page anymore. I hadn't heard that before.
Right. That's what he told me this morning.
Up until now, I've always assumed that it was Elizabeth that insisted that he use Dr. Page and no one else.
Right.
And Alec became a little more willing to use Dr. Page when he also had input from other psychologists that, were, then you could kind of bring the different points of view together, and that made some sense, I think.
Yeah, I think it was one of the I know it was one of the first doctors that I had, Dr. Sullivan. So, hello.
Oh, you're okay. I understand you're looking for your wallet.
I am.
Have you not found it yet? Good grief.
It seems like you were so many different places yesterday. It could be in any one of those places.
It could be in your car.
It's not. I looked in there thoroughly after I heard the story that it might be.
It could be in Abe's car.
Yeah.
What shower did you
I'm
use
sure I will
yesterday?
find it.
Okay.
What shower did you use the other day?
What?
The shower you used. Which one was it? Was it this one or that?
Downstairs. I was in the shower.
Oh. Oh.
So don't worry about it. I want to give this jewelry to Sabine.
Okay. Well, they're all off in Hyannis or someplace right now.
Ah. Well, I'll give it to her later. So, Charles, this is the last time I'm ever going to come here.
Okay. You mean in this house or I thought you and Peter were staying around for a few weeks.
In this house.
Okay.
On this beach. So I told Cyril that there's a party on Saturday that Stephen Pombo, Peter's former wife's brother.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think you mentioned
Is
this name
having.
before.
And
Yeah.
you're invited to it.
Oh, really?
You need to bring the kayaks because you
All
can
kayaks?
you can carry those on the car.
Yeah.
It's going to be on the bay. Stephen has a sailboat. He's got kayaks. And it's a fun time. So bring some food.
Which day is this?
Saturday.
Oh, this coming Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm going to be leaving on an airplane
Oh.
to go home. And Cyril can either take me to Hyannis or to Boston. Now, I'm going to suggest to Cyril I don't know, haven't looked at the airline fare yet, but it's probably, how much is it to go from Hyannis to Boston?
Depend. I mean, it can be all over the place.
Right. So
Or,
right now, it's probably
your
expensive.
your airplane fare would be from Boston, not from.
Right.
I mean, unless you really want to. I mean, you can fly
No,
from
I don't
Hyannis.
want to do that.
Okay.
I like big planes.
Yeah, all right.
So, at your earliest convenience, to help me out, I would suggest to Cyril that he drive me to Boston.
I don't think that's a good
Excuse
idea.
me, with Sabine and Paul, because it's a real education to be there. You can go to the boat, one of the boats that came over
Does it sound like
in Boston, like the Mayflower or whatever.
That's
what
in
it
Plymouth.
was.
It's not in Boston, and there's not enough time to do stuff like that on the
Well,
way to
Boston
an airport.
Harbor is very interesting.
Sure, but it's.
So I would I'd like somebody.
This
Maybe
kind of thing
Nick.
you're talking about takes a few days. You can't do it on the way to an
Nick
airport.
would be willing to drive me to Boston, or Peter, and then Peter's gonna drive home.
Okay, well, I don't know.
So, Nick.
All right, I'm gonna just tell
It's
you
been
how
very
much
nice
a plane
to meet
ticket
you.
from Boston. What day do you want to leave?
We're gonna, check up there. I'm gonna leave either, whatever's cheaper, Sunday morning, Saturday afternoon.
Sunday, we've all got other plans.
May I sit down?
Of
Okay.
course.
I assume you want to go to Salt Lake City, right?
Right. On Delta.
Well, I'm just
Definitely Delta, because I have a
Can I get
business.
you both anything?
I have a business situation as a handicapped person.
We'll tell people the reason we don't do risk assessments is because
wait.
they don't really serve
That's
any
gotta
function.
stop.
What we do tell people is that we love them as humans, and that
You can stop that.
Yeah, that's
This is good.
that's good.
Thank you for doing this. Travel economy. I like to go, not economy, I like to go, look in the afternoon.
Okay, well, Saturday the lowest fare is $210. On Sunday the lowest fare is $428.
From Boston to
yeah.
Salt Lake.
Yeah, see, Boston.
Still
Salt
can't
Lake.
find your wallet.
So
Is that what you came there for?
I realize that.
You got the bouquet?
Thank you.
It's got thorns on it.
Now we're looking at airfare. I'll talk to you in a minute.
If I decide, okay.
Okay, so
Okay,
I
this
don't know.
$210 fare is
it's leaving it
that's on
perfect.
United.
No, I want Delta.
Okay. Well, if you're requiring Delta, click this box.
Right. 210.
No, wait a minute, it's not showing up yet.
Okay. Departing flights.
Okay, Delta, there's only 3 flights for that. Well, that's not I mean, that's a reasonably
Look at that one.
$623.
That's
So
perfect.
That's the most expensive one.
Okay.
If you want to get a fare a little bit lower, you can get a connection somewhere.
I don't want a connection. So this one, what is that? 604.
Hey, oh, wait a
That's saves just a little bit. Now what I like to do is go comfort,
minute.
if possible. Not first class, not economy. No.
I just want to see what it looks like.
Okay, Boston to Salt Lake. Just one way. Dates, yeah. Saturday that's Sunday.
No, that's Saturday. It's the 1st.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, that's the same thing we were looking at a minute ago.
Lois is 6. Friday. That's fine.
What,
Try
Friday's
Friday.
fine?
Yeah.
It's only $20 cheaper.
Okay. Click Saturday.
All right, Saturday. Oh no, I'm still looking at Hyannis here. So that's
Right.
um,
Boston.
actually that. I mean, compared to that, I mean, this is an interesting thing because I don't usually look for
Right.
leaving from Hyannis.
Hyannis to Boston to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
Is $6.42.
I know, but that was very close to the price we were seeing when it was
Right. But I want to
Boston
leave
to
from
Hyannis.
Boston.
If you want to leave from, okay, well, let's look at that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is not the.
Peter needs to drive over there anyway.
Right over where?
Comfort. Click Comfort. Go back.
Okay, all right. So we'll.
Click that. Comfort.
All right, but you wanted to do Boston, not Hyannis, right?
Right.
So let's change that. $6.42.
Perfect. Now let's click Comfort in there. Non-stop. Non-stop. Non-stop right there.
Wait a minute. I'm not at the place where I'm seeing all the flights yet.
Now Comfort. Try Comfort. 814. That's pretty good. Okay, this is the one that was showing up on the Hyannis itinerary. I want you to click Comfort. It means a difference to me.
Well,
But
on some of
maybe
these,
not. Okay.
on
Now
one
stop.
of them it's sold out.
Just please stop.
Okay.
Lowest fare leaves. That's perfect. That one is there, right?
Yeah, but that's
Click.
not your Comfort one.
I don't care. Click that one.
Okay, this is where you see the differences in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cancel. Okay, let me read it.
You can
Mail
earn miles
Classic.
from now on.
Wait
This
a
one you
minute.
want.
Let me look. Click that one. Select.
What day are we looking at?
Don't
Saturday.
worry about it. I really appreciate you doing this. August 1st. Okay. Main extra.
It's an additional 110.
For what?
For what? You just get to
Let
board
me-
the plane a little earlier. That's all.
Forget that. So, book it.
Would you have your credit card?
488. Book it.
You have a Delta American Express card.
I have a Delta number, and I don't know it. So, book it under your name.
I'm
I'll
not
pay
doing
you.
under my name.
All right.
I've already
Just
booked a.
Book it, and we'll put my name
Well,
in.
if you have your credit, I don't care what kind of credit card it is. I'm not signed in as
That's
anyone
okay.
in particular.
Just continue to review and
Alright.
pay. This will put it all in. Select seats. I like the aisle.
Wait a minute, are we on the?
So click on that. See what's available on an aisle. Nope, not first class. Keep going.
On the site, then,
Oh,
they'd be
damn
welcome
it!
to thumbs up
The
and as
damn
useful.
mouse keeps moving around
But we
the
don't
wrong
give people
screen.
unrealistic expectations about what's possible and not possible for us to do. And I think that's what Matthew's speaking to here.
I can
Okay,
move
how
it.
hard it?
If you go back a few, so that was this century. If you go back to last century,
If you don't
Alright.
mind.
No, don't touch things because that's what screws other things up.
All right.
Okay.
Delta. Right. What's a wait. Delta main. I like to be right in the back. Okay, go up. Go
Right in the
up,
back.
up. Find one in the aisle if possible. Go up. Keep going.
Right in the aisle.
Yeah, keep going up.
Okay, I don't see
Keep
any in
going
the
up.
aisle.
Keep going up.
All right.
There's one right there.
There's one here. Okay.
24C. Perfect. Click it.
But that they're gonna require an additional
I don't
$55 for that one.
That's fine.
You see, if you don't
That's
do
fine.
this,
I need
that
to go to the bathroom
they will
frequently.
assign you a seat
That's,
wherever they want to, and
that's fine.
and-
Click it.
you want to pay the extra 55.
Yes, I do.
Okay. All right, now you're
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, go up.
go up to where?
Back to the seat. You didn't really get it yet. I find this very confusing.
Well, it's not
There
confusing
you
at all.
go.
You've just chosen
Click
to
on
pay an
that one.
extra $55.
Yeah, we just got it. 6:30. Okay, that's fine. Save and exit. Great. I appreciate this very much. One passenger. That's right. Pay. Baggage.
So you're now up to a total fare of the 543.
That's really good.
Okay.
Go up.
Usually, it's about twice as
Go
much
up.
as what I would expect to pay normally.
Now go down right there. Stop. First name Suzanne. Suzanne. Middle G. Your last name. T. There you go. Okay, Ms. You forget the.
Yeah, we don't need that. No, that's a suffix, not a prefix.
Frequent flyer
Do you
number. I
have
don't remember.
Okay, well,
Date of birth. Go down.
you don't remember your frequent flyer?
No.
Well, you can always attach it to the reservation later.
Down. Date of birth. 06. 06. June 6. June day 6.
Oh, for
9th year, yeah. 6. 1948. Wait.
Wait, I know. That's the way it gets to be.
I'm afraid we're going to go off the bottom.
I know.
Now,
There we go.
There you go.
All right.
I am female.
Right. Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
Known traveler, redress,
I'm
forget
gonna
that.
forget
Go
that.
down. Now you gotta put any incident, say handicap status.
Oh.
I am. And they rate me with a wheelchair.
But you don't have to